One of the definitions for pussy is a weak, cowardly, or effeminate man.
Well, yeah.
No, if you say that, call me a pussy, I'd be offended. But if you told me, girl, you look pussy today, I'd be like, hey, thanks.
And when people's like, whenever I'm out in drag and they're like, ooh, girl, you're pussy. Yeah, you look at me pussy as hell or whatever. I always feel pretty fierce as hell.
If you're gay, you're gonna get called a pussy. You're gonna get called worse. You know, that's sort of something that you learn to either learn how to hit back against or learn how to take in as part of who you are.
Drag, if you make anything like pretty, like anything pretty, like when people feel down or ugly, like some drag or whatever, makeup makes you feel pretty, so why not take a nasty and ugly word and put like a little razzle dazzle and make it pretty and make people feel confident from it.
Boys are not supposed to be feminine. Boys are not supposed to express feminine qualities and express an interest in beauty and an interest in fashion and an interest in strong women.
I think, the perception of that we're making fun of women in any way, I've always said that I take everything a woman does and multiply it times 10. I'm not making fun of women in any way, shape, form. I believe that they're the most powerful beings on the planet, and I just try to accentuate that, and I try to perpetuate a very strong, independent woman, very secure and, abrasive.
My drag is a little bit high concept, so people are sometimes really turned off by that. Like I have had queens join me, particularly old school Southern pageant queens who I meet who have a negative reaction to what I do because it is sort of a departure from traditional drag styles.
The pendulum has swung so far from being realistic because the goal was to be really realistic back in the day. You start out, you want to be passable. Even in drag, you want to be passable. Or you're considered camp where you want to be laughed at. And now there's I call it monster drag. My take on entertainment is to make people forget about all the problems, and sometimes that stuff makes me cringe. like even with Modeste Vulgaire being one of my children, is some of the things she does is cringe-worthy to me. I would never.
I think part of that's our age. I think.
Yeah.
When I started doing drag, nobody really did anything that crazy. It was kind of like lip-syncing a song. I think in part it is like women are beautiful and should be just beautiful. But, because a lot of the older girls, they come out and they do a lip sync in a pretty gown. And everybody's like, ooh, that's so pretty. And I was always like, if I wanted to see Britney lip sync a song, I would just get my phone out and YouTube it, because that's what she does in her music videos.
Yeah, I'm definitely not like your classic beauty queen and like how most people are in Atlanta. My drag persona is pretty much like the monster under your bed that you want to be friends with, but she gets you into trouble sometimes. The whole like underground grungy scene of drag is starting to take over over the beauty scene, honestly. But we love beauty queens. They did pave the road for us too, so.
They used to have to have a license, like a permit to perform in every single bar. And like in Georgia, used to be, like if I was in drag, you'd have to have on an article of men's clothing or else you could go to jail for impersonation. Like Charlie Brown from Backstreet, the reason he's got Mr. Charlie Brown on all of his stuff is because when he started out in Tennessee, you had to advertise Mr. in front of your name so that you weren't false advertising that a woman was there.
Because some of the negative misconceptions people have are that, like, I'm a transgender woman. That's one of my mom's greatest fears, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't identify as that. And people tend to always sort of feel that way about drag queens.
I started transitioning 4 or 5 years ago. My parents are not supportive, but I mean, they let me wear what I wanted to wear. But it wasn't like girly clothes, so they didn't really, there wasn't really anything for them to get mad about, because I wore girls' clothes, but they looked like guys' clothes, kind of.
Actually, there is a very specific reason as well that I get a lot of like euphoria out of doing female drag. Before I was born, my dad decided he did not want sons, which is like a very bizarre thing for a lot of people, but he just didn't want a boy. And when my mom found out that they were pregnant with twins, he was like, yes, like I'm gonna have 2 girls. And very last minute, they found out that I was gonna be a boy, and my dad was so disappointed. My whole life, he kind of kept me at a distance because I was a boy, and I identify as a male, but I also spent so much of my life wishing and wondering what my life would be like if I had been a girl, like the kind of acceptance I would feel. And now expressing that sort of fantasy in a much more conscious way and sort of getting to meditate on that in a much more conscious way really helps me work through that and helps me sort of come to terms with that and learn how to be a little bit more accepting of the feminine qualities I just have as a flamboyant man.
One of my first memory was, one of my first memories that I have is like my mom holding me down while my dad cut my hair off, and like I just remember screaming that I didn't want my hair cut.
How old were you when that happened?
It was pretty young, like 6 or 7.
You know, as a performer, the downside of it, I think, you know, people pulling on me and touching on me and grabbing on me, it might be because of my performance, though. Also, my performance is very sexually driven, and, you know, I get really naked. But do you think as a king do you think I get sexually harassed because I'm in the form of a woman?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because have you...
I don't experience any of that as a kid.
Even not from lesbians or whatever, they don't hit on you a little harder or think they can, like, grab your butt, or you've never had anything like that? You've never been sexually assaulted, basically, because you're in a drag persona? No. And they're not pulling on your beards and stuff like that either,
No.
as much as they're like, well, they don't pull my wig or anything like that, but, you know, they'll pet me and shit. But I guess you don't have that because you're a man. Do you think they do it because they think, because I'm in, you think they're, I never really thought about them sexually harassing me because I'm in the form of a woman. I perceived it as Nicole belongs to the public, sort of, and they think that they can just grab it like a teddy bear off the shelf. You know what I mean? But like, take a picture with me, or, you know, or slap my ass when I walk by because I'm wearing a thong or something like that already. But I didn't think of it being because I'm a woman and them just thinking they could just do that. I don't know why they do it. It is my least favorite thing, but you've never...
I've never experienced.
Never, because you're dressed as a man. That's, that would be, that's a interesting concept that I hadn't really thought about before.
Oh, honey. We're talking about catcalling. That happens to me all the time. People try to grope me before, but little do they know it's foam that they're grabbing because their hip pads. Like, bitch, you ain't touching my ass.
I really feel very female presenting in drag, and I feel very male presenting outside of drag. I kind of embrace that duality, and I'm starting to learn how to incorporate a sense of androgyny and like elements of both gender expressions in and out of drag. My drag persona is very much like inspired by like historical fiction and historical fashion and costume design for theater. And my character has started to become definitely a lot more conceptual and more looking like drawings and like the work that I really enjoy doing as a costume designer outside of it.
Yeah, drag has certainly been a costume for me. When I dress up more feminine, it's more for other people. It's easier to like get what you want with your tits out. And shine. If you're wearing something shiny, something like that, that's more for other people. And more of an expression of my my design. Because I always wanted to like design costumes and clothes and stuff like that. So it's more like playing dress up with myself.
Well, in the beginning, yeah, I tried to be glamorous and pretty, relied on my natural beauty type stuff. But then after a while, I was just like, it's kind of boring. It's very plain. I want to be a new character, something that's not me. And so then I started experimenting more and more and more. And then now, like, literally all my palettes are like all the colors of the rainbow, and you'll see like 15 colors on my face. Like, I can't leave with just one color and one glitter. It needs to be like every color.
A drag queen is a very striking thing. A drag queen is someone who stands out because there is no one like a drag queen if you're the only drag queen in a place, you know? No one's gonna be wearing something that's really gonna give what you are giving. I don't know quite how to describe it in that sense, but if you're in drag, in a public space, you will always be the odd one out. But it's you choosing to use that to your advantage that makes you a drag queen, you know? There's a scene where Patrick Swayze is like getting in drag and he like finishes shaving and he goes like, "Here comes mama." And it's like one of my favorite films ever, and that's one of the funniest moments of it to me. Here comes mama. Alright, I'm ready to get in face.